It's what goes on all the highways. It's a cool looking truck.
Can you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
And what you see different is the cabinets going down.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you and good evening. It is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. We just came from executive session where we discussed collective bargaining agreements. All right, so moving right into our resolutions. We have resolution number 1, considering approval of a stipulation of agreement between the Village of Rybrook and Rybrook Professional Firefighters probably should say, right?
Yes.
Firefighters Mutual Aid Association, Local 4041, IAFF.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook and the Rybrook Professional Firefighters Mutual Aid Association have negotiated an agreement for the creation of 3 fire department lieutenant positions, and whereas the Village of Rybrook and the Rybrook Professional Firefighters Association have signed a memorandum of agreement dated December 3rd, 2025, approving the provisions and for responsibilities and compensation of the 3 fire department lieutenant positions. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the terms and conditions included in the memorandum of agreement between the Village of Rybrook and the Rybrook Professional Firefighters signed on December 3rd for the provisions of the responsibilities and compensation for the 3 fire department lieutenant positions, and be it further resolved that the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary or appropriate to accomplish the purposes of the resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Chris, can you just maybe
Sure.
give a little background on what the changes, what changes this represents?
Absolutely, happy to do it. We discussed during our budget time, we want to do create a structure where there's supervision for the fire department. We have a highly unusual system in Rybrook. It's worked well for a lot of years, but now we have more firefighters than we used to have. We have now 12 firefighters covering 24/7 for the community. And when we went to the 24/7, that's when we went up to 12. The firefighters for fire-related issues, I won't say firematic, David, but for fire-related issues report to the fire chiefs in Portchester, and that still remains. But for non-fire issues, they report to me as village administrator for more administrative functions. So there's a gap there, and I think everyone would benefit by having additional supervision within the department. It creates opportunities for the firefighters as well. So we put money in the budget for that purpose. And what we're going to have is 3 of the current firefighters will be made fire lieutenant, and those are competitive titles for which actually we've canvassed the list and are ready to go forward as soon as this is complete. And what that will do is you'll have 1 fire lieutenant on each shift, and that'll provide, we will no longer have fire clerks, so the clerk's responsibilities will be folded into the lieutenant positions. But in addition to that, the fire lieutenants will have supervisory responsibilities, authorities, and they'll have all the responsibilities of things like fire training and fire, the work days and what's being scheduled for that particular day. Will work with me on budget and work on other things that supervisors have to report in on, and make sure that everything's filed the way it should be, whether it be training with the state that we were currently doing with outside consultants that we're looking to phase to do more internally, which is more traditional in fire departments. So we've worked with the union. John Giordano, the president of the union, is here tonight, and we had a lot of good meetings, and this is a stipulation that we recommend the board approve, and we'll create a structure for the long term for the department that we think be for the good of the department and the community.
Thank you, Chris. And certainly, we're very thrilled to be able to add this structure to the fire department. A lot of communities rely on volunteers. We're proud to have a fully paid fire department here in the Village of Rybrook, and we're thankful to everything that the firefighters do. hopefully a service that you don't want to have to use, but when the time comes, knowing that they're there is certainly makes me sleep safer at night
Me too.
and better at night. Yeah, I mean, any questions or comments from the board?
No.
Okay. All right, well, we certainly appreciate the union working with us on this. We're looking forward to seeing this in action. I'm sure on the firefighter side, they're excited to have this structure added as well. So, Agree. So, and we really appreciate you working with us on this. All right.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser? Trustee Cron?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein.
Yes. Thank you. All right, resolution number 2 is going to be tabled for the time being until we're ready to act on that, which could potentially still be in 2025 if there is a special meeting, and we'll
Yep.
see.
At this point, we have a stipulation, and will hopefully be ratified in the near future, in which case will then come to the village board.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Which brings us back to the fire department on resolution number 3. So resolution number 3, considering the purchase of a Spencer Manufacturing fire engine stock unit 1707 through HGAC on the basis of best value.
Whereas on March 11th, 2014, the Board of Trustees adopted a local law authorizing the award of certain purchase contracts subject to competitive bidding on the basis of best value as defined in Section 163 of the New York State Finance Law. And whereas the Village of Rybrook is seeking to replace its 2000-2001 Spartan fire engine and formed a fire truck committee consisting of Rybrook firefighters, the village administrator, and Jeffrey Gaskin of Big Red Trucks Fire Apparatus Consultants, Inc. That's a long name. And whereas the Village of Rybrook on April 9th, 2024, approved bond financing resolution to purchase a fire truck up to the amount of $950,000, and whereas the village prepared a bid which was number 23-13 for a fire truck in the summer of 2025, with only one bid received, submitting a price in the amount of $1,192,000, which was rejected by resolution of the village board on September 25th, 2025, due to the cost exceeding the budget. And whereas the Spencer Manufacturing has provided the village with a proposal for a Spartan MetroStar cab and chassis assembly with a medium 4-door cab for a base price of $933,000 and requested options, additions, and a contingency of $68,202 for a total of $1,001,202 to be purchased through the Houston-Galveston Area Council, otherwise known as HGAC, cooperative purchasing program on the basis of best value through, and the contract number is listed, and it's a pumper rescue stock, and otherwise, now I'm just going to say fire engine, and whereas it in the public interest to purchase this fire engine through HGAC on the basis of best value, because after receiving a review and recommendation from its fire truck consultant, and with the knowledge of who has the knowledge of the current fire truck options and specifications, and upon comparing this fire engine with the fire truck specified in the recently rejected bid specification, it will provide the village and the public with a superior fire engine at a lower price, and as a result will provide improved fire protection to the Rybrook residents. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the purchase of a Spartan MetroStar cab and chassis assembly with a medium 4-door cab and a base price of $933, and requested options, additions, contingency of $68,202 for a total of $1,001,202 to be purchased through the HGAC Cooperative Purchasing Program on the basis of best value through the contract, and the number is listed, for the reasons set forth herein, and be it further resolved, the mayor and administrator are authorized to sign any documents to implement the purpose of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
So moved.
Second.
And I believe that we have, so I was going to say, well, what happens if we don't want it in red? Do we have to go with a different consultant?
That's right. It needs to be
You
Big
only
Red,
handle
right?
red trucks? But I know that some of the board members had questions. We did receive a letter outlining a lot of the details of this.
Yes.
Which I read, and I want to thank you for submitting that. And I would ask maybe if you don't mind coming up.
Not at all.
So, and in terms of backup, just so everyone realizes, we have this very active fire truck committee that worked with Jeff, and I was also on the committee as well. And, so I'll let him go through, Jeff can go through some of the process of where we are. But in terms of backup material, the picture of the one from Utica is the one that's it's the same model number. Will be a little different, obviously, but it's the same model number. We have the HGAC contract information. We have the proposal from the manufacturer, from Spencer, and we have the backup information and recommendations from Mr. Gaskin.
Interesting.
Good evening.
Evening.
Where would you like me to start?
That's a good question. Well, I would say, we've been through this process previously when we got the new Quint, I don't know how long ago.
3 years.
3 years. So, so it's, and this is, again, replacement of another truck that we've used for a very long time that has performed really well. And so, I guess our hopes are that, this, whatever we're purchasing now is going to perform as well, last us a long time. Obviously, at the cost of $1 million, this is not a small purchase for a small community such as ours. So if you, and I would also say thank you to the committee that was part of this, including our firefighters and Chris and yourself, for really looking into this for us and making sure that we're really getting what's needed in the village of Rybrook, what's going to meet our needs, and that we're getting good value on this as well. So, if you want to just maybe for the public give a little background to, just a short background into the process and what led us to this truck specifically.
Your existing truck, 2001,
2000 and 2001, because there were 2 different years.
split. So it's 25 years old. Typically, small to moderate departments would purchase a pumper truck with an anticipated lifespan of 20 years. So you are through that and then some. So it was time to start addressing replacement of that vehicle. And that's a unique truck in the fact that it's a Salisbury pump enclosure and body. And Salisbury, when they were in business, was considered one of the top manufacturers in the industry. So it was, we looked at the possibility of putting that on a new cab and chassis assembly and making alterations to the body. In that same time frame, the EPA had made diesel engine exhaust requirements much stricter. So those 2 items come together, and the new engines will be on the road January 1st, 2027. That is not changing. What that did do, though, is add somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 to the cost of each truck. So that pushed us $100,000 over budget to start with, because we were right at that $950 level. And then in addition to that, there are a whole series of changes that are going to have to be made to the design and manufacture of the cab and chassis to contain the new emission controls. Adds more money to the truck. And it just pushed it to the point that a remount refurbished project really wasn't economically viable option anymore. So we started to look at demos. And the committee found some that they were interested in. I suggested a couple to them, and that went back and forth, securing information, cost, lists of how the trucks were being built, if they were already built or they're scheduled for construction sometime in the next 6 to 10 months. And I think we looked at a total of 7 or 8 different trucks from 4 or 5 different manufacturers. And the committee felt that this one would best serve their needs not only today, but their needs moving into the future. So, lots of information back and forth, talking about some of the things that the committee wanted to more fine-tune the truck to their particular operations, manpower. And we were able to come up with an agreement with Spencer for a product that they have that is not completely built yet, but it is in construction, which lowers the delivery time from 3.5 to 4 years down to 6 to 8 months. So it seems to be a good decision all the way around. It's a couple $100,000 cheaper than the options that are on the market right now. If we were to design a truck for Brook from the ground up and go out to bid, based on what I have come in from other projects, I would anticipate $1.2 million to $1.3 million cost-wise. So you're saving $200,000 to $300,000 overall, and you're getting a good quality vehicle. It's on a quality cab and chassis, and Spencer is a small family-owned apparatus manufacturer. Bless you. In Michigan, and they have a good reputation for the quality of the product.
So we should mention this truck is primarily used for vehicle accidents, EMS calls, extrication, goes on all the highways that whenever, and there's a lot of those types of calls that we get. If anyone sees the types of calls, you see a lot of trips onto the Hutch or onto 287 and onto all that. So there's a good number of that. So this is the vehicle. It's a little smaller than the Quint. It has a different purpose. Doesn't have the ladder, but it has a pump. It has a foam system. It has a lot of cabinets. This is why it's called a rescue pumper. That's why you want to have that ability. And this one has a unique shell. Why don't you talk about what the shell is made out of?
The body on this truck is a polyplastic body. It's been around for quite a long time. You don't see it. It hasn't gained wide acceptance in the fire service yet. It's just the way the fire service works. But they're extremely durable bodies, and they are not subject to rust and corrosion, and that has become a huge factor, especially in the northern parts of the country with the caustic chemicals that are used on the roads in the wintertime are creating a lot of havoc with vehicles that are kept for long periods of time, like a fire truck. So this should be very beneficial in the long run.
Is there a risk when there's, obviously it's a fire truck, does heat affect this polymer?
At some point it will. It's not, low heat won't. Even a metal fire truck, and we actually did it a couple of times in my career. But you'll blister the paint on a truck. You will melt the light. The light lenses are all plastic. So yes. Could that conceivably happen if this truck is in that? Yes. It could conceivably happen. Is it a problem? Not that I have ever heard of.
How long has this been around, this polymer?
Oh, the polymer has been around. Water tanks and fire trucks have been made out of this similar polymer going back to the 80s.
Oh, okay, so there's significant history.
Yes.
What does the word demo mean in the phrase Spartan Demo Pumper? Since the truck hasn't been built yet.
Right.
Well, it hasn't been built, but it was designed. Specifications were created for the truck. The engineers okayed everything, and the truck was ordered. So once the truck is ordered, and demos come on from different places. There are manufacturers that will build certain models of trucks repeatedly, that they build on their own because they know, especially with a 3 to 4 year lag time, they will sell that truck before it gets to the end of the assembly line. And the bigger dealers that have the money will order pre-built or pre-designed trucks. They get the build slot. The truck starts to be built, and then it gets sold before it gets to the end of the, but there's no, what a demo really means is the truck's been designed, it has been approved by engineering, it has been assigned a build slot, but if a customer comes in, they can make changes to it.
Depending on where they are in the build.
So essentially, it's just not being built to very specific specifications of a single department.
Correct.
It's being built more as a general,
And then you modify,
You
that's
mod-
the upfitting that we have for
the
the 68.
upfitting that we have. Okay.
And that's why it's very important to have somebody like Jeff and to know the companies and be able to contact them, because we have a particular truck that has been spec'd out that we know fits the needs in Rybrook. So trying to find something that's very close to that, that's in the hopper, is what the challenge was to do that and save money. And by the way, the latter was also a demo, too.
Right, no,
Yeah.
I remember that, and I would say that the letter that was submitted today really spelled that out very nicely, I thought, where it was talking about, all right, here's the order of how we made, here's the priority order of how we made these decisions, and it's does it fit our needs? That's really one of the big, and also hearing you say it tonight makes me feel a little more comfortable. This is also a very reputable truck. That's something that's going to last us a long time again.
Yes.
What is the warranty on something like this?
Um,
And what does it cover?
If I spec a truck, I spec a 2-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. In this case, it's going to be a little bit different because it's being built under a different set of specs. So the cab and chassis assembly from Spartan Chassis comes with a 2-year warranty on the cab and chassis assembly. So that's basically everything on the cab and chassis, except for wear items. Brakes are not included in that. Tires are not included in that. Windshield wipers are not included in that. Then you have manufacturer's warranties that ratchet that up. Cummins gives you a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the engine. Federal law maintains a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty on the emission control system. Allison Transmission gives you a 5-year warranty on the transmission. Meritor on the axles is a 2-year warranty complete, and then I think Meritor's 2 years warranty complete, 3 years warranty on parts, not labor. So that all changes, and the warranty documents are all included with the truck that spell this out, but it'll be 1 year. It's a 1-year warranty, bumper to bumper from Spencer, and then other things, play into it that it will extend it out.
Just out of curiosity, our current truck is 20 years old. How many miles does it have on it?
It's not the mileage.
Hours, right?
It's the hours. And the other thing, and this really affects the trucks more than anything else, an over-the-road truck gets started in the morning, and that truck basically runs for 8 or 10 hours a day with minimal shutdown time and minimal idle time. A fire truck gets started. It's not at operating temperature. It gets driven to a call where it idles. 10 minutes, an hour and a half. If it's idling, especially in weather like this, that motor never comes up to operating temperature. And then you drive it back to the firehouse and you back it in and you shut it off. And it sits until the next call. And that, on many levels, is horrible for the drivetrain. So it's not, it has very little to do with the mileage and a lot to do with hours and the way we duty cycle them in the fire service. That's why in 2007, if you look and talk to people at bigger fire departments, my old business partner did the fleet for the city of New York for 11 years. And when the fire trucks started to come into the city with these advanced diesel pollution control systems, they had fire trucks in Manhattan and the Bronx that were regenning every day. and you get an over-the-road truck, and it might regen once every 4 or 5 weeks.
What does regen mean?
Regen is when the diesel particulate filter, since 2007 on these trucks, has a cycle in it. It's a self-cleaning oven, basically, and that's what the regen means. And when it goes into regeneration, it's doing a self-clean on the diesel particulate filter.
Okay. Question. The truck we had before was a pumper, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this one here,
have.
and this one,
Rescue pumper
it's
as
a
well.
rescue pumper. Oh, it's a
Both
rescue.
They're both rescue pumpers.
Okay. And this one has, I see, we didn't have a foam system where, I guess, for putting out a fire with foam, car fire, I guess specifically, right, they use them for. And this one has that, which is kind of nice, right? And then I was reading an article not too long ago about a system where they mix foam and water.
They all foam systems mix foam and water.
Okay.
That's
okay.
part of what the foam
Or
system
the phone
does.
system is, okay, all right. And the other, our old system, our old truck didn't have the foam.
It did?
Oh, it does.
Yeah, they had a way to,
Way to mix it,
yeah,
like a can,
labor
hook up like the spray.
and time intensive,
The
where,
ladder does, right?
and
The
Okay.
ladder has one, too.
And
we
the
put one on the ladder truck. That was part of the upfits we did to the ladder.
So that did the trick. Now, this one here is all twined into one, nice, convenient.
And that's what you think about. Remember, you're going out on highways, you're going out for the cars, you're going out for spills, you're going out for all that. That's why you need the different ways to be able to combat it.
Less time for less setup. You can just pull it, push the button, press the trigger, boom.
Yes,
No, convenient, nice. And does it have a ladder on this truck, too?
Nope.
ground ladders.
Ground ladders, yeah. Extension ladders, I guess you call them, right? Yeah.
Is there a way to extend the life of these vehicles? Otherwise, we've obviously taken very good care of our vehicles if they're lasting 25 years. This is a new vehicle. I know that newer vehicles don't last as long as older vehicles at this point in the car terminology. Are there ways that we can instruct our firefighters and our staff to make it last longer? Or is there some better way to take care of it? And do you advise them on that as well?
Yes, there are ways to help extend the life of the vehicle, and it's kind of just getting caught up, even on the private side, with all of the electronics that are in vehicles today, much more so, and that's where most of the issues come from. One of the things that I talk to fire departments about when I sit down with them, either whether it's to set up preventative maintenance programs for their apparatus or whether it's to look at the life cycles of their apparatus, the 20-year lifespan that I mentioned for pumpers earlier, when I started working on fire trucks in the late 70s, it was a 20-year lifespan. And that goes back to the early 50s and maybe even farther back than that. But if you look at the last 30 or 40 years of a department's duty cycle, like when I started as a fireman in 1980 in Scarsdale, we were running 600 to 700 calls a year. When I retired in 2017, we were running 17 to 1,800 calls a year, and we were still buying trucks with a 20-year lifespan. You can do that, and I don't think the 20-year lifespan is unreasonable, but you have to spec yourself a different truck, and you have to take care of it differently from the day you get the truck. And I think if we look back at the lifespan in Rye Brook, we're going to find similar progression, because there's very few places I've dealt with that I see the annual number of calls. And I'm not talking about fires. I'm talking about the number of times that truck gets started and goes out the door, because that's where the wear and tear comes from. I very rarely, I can't say I never, but I very rarely see a department whose calls have gone backwards in number over the course of time.
Do we have, Chris, do we have the preventative maintenance plan on this?
We definitely could do some improvements in that area. That we've been working on that. But for a while, we had an on-site for a while, but we could definitely do more improvements in that area, I'd say. I will say more recently, we've leaned on also, between our firefighters, we've leaned on Jeff too for advice when it goes to to our repair sites to say, all right, what's really needed now? Is there something we could put off? Is there something we need to do now, on a preventative or an emergency basis? So unfortunately for Jeff, we keep leaning on him for this stuff, and he keeps helping us out.
Oh, we appreciate that. Do we have other questions?
Yeah, I have another
know
question. I do. One quick question. Navigation or GPS in these newer trucks now, not that they're going to get lost in Rye Brook,
Well,
but
that goes back to the station, correct? I remember when we got the new Quint, it's already pre-programmed, as when they're hitting the truck, it's already been put into the system.
so this same one truck will have that feature?
So all of our apparatus now have iPads in them.
Mhm.
So when we do receive a call, we get dispatched to a call,
Mhm.
it will automatically update the iPads in both apparatus. So no matter which one we're taking, it's getting that information, and those iPads have the ability to navigate.
Gave it-
if needed.
But those iPads are not just really for navigation. What they're doing is they're telling you about where they're going and what they're walking into. So they have
What information comes out?
about the location.
Hydrant location,
Yes,
if any products
right.
Have any special,
Conditions?
Chemicals, if it's a commercial, yeah.
We have been uploading that stuff. Our firefighters have been working to
Upload that information, right, in the area, I
And
guess.
also they have the information from other communities, too. Their
Oh, good.
same system.
We've been helping out and doing a lot of mutual aid calls with the city of Rye
Right.
and calls going to Portchester. So the platform that we use is interchangeable
Combat, yep.
communities, so we can receive their information as
All
well.
right. All right, sounds good.
I just want to just take a minute just to say, so this process that we go through is a little bit different than some of the other communities. So Jeff is a fire truck consultant, and initially, going way back, because we knew that these trucks were coming online, we kind of did an assessment. We asked him to first do an assessment of this, and these trucks have been in service. We were a very different community and operated differently as a department back then, in a different way. And now, given where we are these still the best trucks
Right, what are
for
our
the community?
needs?
So that's actually where we started from a number of years ago when we started working with Jeff. And it was very helpful to kind of look at it and say, let's make sure we buy the right, since we have these, we only have a few opportunities to buy them, let's make sure we're buying the right vehicles. Then we purchased the ladder, and now with this one, the benefit of this process, working with a fire truck consultant, is some other departments work with, for instance, salespeople from certain manufacturers that they like. We don't have that approach. Our approach is, we want a truck that's going to serve the community. We don't care the manufacturer, as long as it's a reputable manufacturer, has a good track record, a good history. We want to buy, what's the best value for the best truck. And the firefighters are always very agreeable to saying, we'll take a demo, we'll take a new truck, whatever it is, we want a working truck, and that's what they want. And the benefit of having Jeff is he's not a salesperson. Doesn't care either who we purchase from. And he picked a flat fee from the village of Rye Brook, which was previously authorized. But what the firefighters can focus on is, what are our needs? These are specific things we want on the fire truck, and what Jeff is able to do is saying, here's things that you may not know are coming online, here's options that you have to meet those needs. And when I say it goes down to the very fine-tuning, John, how far? It goes right down to the individual lights on the truck, to the type of various options on systems, types of brakes, types of all the different ways of that are important to the firefighters and how they do it. And Jeff, being a fire consultant, is able to help guide us without leaning it in either way, to say, here's the different options you have, and he may make recommendations on which systems he thinks are best. But it really is a nice interplay between a consultant who's going to give us advice and the firefighters who have the specific needs and questions about how they operate.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any
Very
other
interesting,
further
thank you.
questions? Again, I'd like to really thank, I'd like to thank everyone here and who was on the Fire Services Committee for really looking into this. And I certainly feel much more comfortable knowing that we're going to get something that's really going to be of value to the village of Rye Brook for a very long time, and more importantly, meets the needs of our firefighters, because a truck is no good if there's no one there to operate it. So we just, we're very thankful to everyone who's been involved. And we look forward to seeing this, not in 3.5 to 4 years, but in a little under a year.
Yes, less
Should be here by
First half.
late spring, early summer.
Yeah.
Really, that soon?
Yep.
Wow, all right, wonderful.
Do they drive it here, or do they put it on a truck?
They drive it here, and that's in the specs.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a warranty claim,
Long trip.
have the warranty claim before you paid for it.
Yeah,
And sometimes they want to bring it to a convention too, where they'll show it at a convention floor, and we're sometimes open to that too, and sometimes they're willing to, do something for the truck or to help us, offset a cost even for allowing that to happen, if the timing works
A
out
lot of
well.
mileage from Houston.
No, this one will come from Michigan, but
Michigan.
it's actually, there was a point in time when trucks were flatbedded either on a
Right.
railroad car or another truck to deliver, and that's gone out sometime in the 60s. I don't know exactly when, and they're now driven. It's in everybody that I know of in their specs that the trucks are driven from the factory to the purchaser.
good to get that initial miles on it
Yes.
and know whether everything's purring properly.
And if anybody doesn't know, we don't pay until it arrives.
Right. Is there
But
a
they
lemon-
want to check that day, I
is
can
there
tell
a
you that.
lemon law with fire trucks?
It applies because it's a motor vehicle in the state of New York's eyes. Most of the dealerships, and Colden is the dealership for Spencer in New York State. They're also a reputable dealer, and most of the reputable dealers get the problem fixed. The biggest problem that I see in the industry with long-term breakdown problems is component parts from the different component manufacturers. And, it gets blamed on the dealership or the truck manufacturer because that's the name that everybody knows, but they're just as frustrated by it as the end user is.
And so they have to carefully choose their component makers.
Yeah, and that's usually done at the factory level, and so it can be a problem.
Gotcha.
Thank you for your expertise.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
John, all the firefighters have been, not just the fire truck committee, but they've shared it all with all the firefighters, and I believe you could say they're all excited about this truck.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
I'm excited about it. Oh, and I just get to look at it.
That's it. You can't leave yet. They haven't voted yet.
All right, I believe we have a motion and a second, though. Any other questions from the board? All right.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes, thank you. We look forward to seeing the new truck.
You want to drive it?
No, I don't have a CDL. I cannot drive it. Oh, you don't? I still don't want to drive it. I don't want that responsibility. I don't want that responsibility. I'll sit and grab the wheel while it's parked comfortably, not on.
Get a picture for your kids, right?
There we go. That's it. That's as far as I go.
Yes.
I want a photo.
I know that the former mayor did always say he wanted to drive these things. I don't. All right, moving on. Resolution number 4. And Paul, if you're listening, maybe you can change my mind. All right. Resolution number 4. Considering fiscal year 25-26 general fund and capital fund budget modifications, transfers, and closed capital project.
Okay, now therefore be it resolved that the following general fund budget modifications and budget transfers be hereby approved to fund the village residential in-home food scraps recycling pilot program administered through the state, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Municipal Food Scraps Recycling Grant. Wow, that's a mouthful. And village contribution to distribute 100 food cycler units to local residents. So this is basically increasing our revenues by $22,424 and increasing our appropriations, and then transferring $3,738 from contingency to the Board of Trustees Sustainability. This is a net impact of 0 in our budget. This is basically, we had to front money, and then we get money back from grants, so that's the way that works. And be it further resolved, the following general fund budget modification be approved to fund the purchase of SCBA equipment administered through the U.S. Department of Homeland Security fiscal year 2023 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program. And that's in the amount of $85,578. You're increasing your revenues and also increasing your appropriations. Again, net impact of zero on the budget, and this is also accounting for the grant and the purchase and then reimbursement. Now be it further resolved that the following general fund budget modification be hereby approved to fund the Rye Ridge Condo Flood Mitigation Study to install the underground water detention system underneath the Portchester Middle School property, for which expenditures will be reimbursed through the Green Resiliency Grant from the New York State Department of Environmental Facilities. And that's also an increase in revenues of $8,500, an increase in appropriations of $8,500. Again, no net impact on the budget is zero because of the grant. And be it further resolved that the general fund budget modification be hereby approved to fund the engineering services for the potential stormwater drainage modification project in the Brook Lane area, for which expenditures will be reimbursed through the New York State Home and Community Renewal Resilient Investment through Support and Capital, otherwise known as RISC program, in fiscal year 23. And that's an increase in revenues of $41,097.27, and then the same increase in appropriations, again, because of the grant, for a net impact of zero on the budget. And be it resolved that the following general fund budget modification be hereby approved, and this is a decrease in revenues for day camp revenue and teen travel camp revenue in the amount of $9,048, and then a decrease in appropriations in the teen travel camp, so the net impact on the budget is zero. So basically, this is where we're balancing our budget from using the revenues and the expenditures so that we don't transfer that money to other accounts because the revenue was less than so it transfers over to the expenditures where there's a difference in cost. And then be it further resolved, the following general fund budget transfers be approved, and there's a series of transfers from the contingency account to judgment and claims. There was a tax settlement that was made, or judgment that was made actually by a court. Another is the fire department truck repairs, that was for the ladder. Unallocated insurance, municipal associations, police department holiday pay. The municipal associations was the difference for the Wamoa dinner that we held.
Oh, right.
There was an additional cost. Police department holiday pay. That's for the police chief has we have to, when he became police chief, from sergeant, he had a balance of accounts that was resulting, we had to budget that money for this year, so that's why that's put in place from contingency to holiday pay, so you can be wiped clean on that balance. And also on vacation buyback. That's also something that's allowed with the police chief again, to cash in vacation time. And be it further resolved that the following budget transfers, be it capital projects, be hereby approved. So this is now funding that difference that we needed from the 933 to the 950 to get up to the 1,200, whatever it was. So the difference is we're just deauthorizing the community event signs, which we never moved forward with, and there was a balance in the AJP HVA equipment capital project. That was one that we had to, again, we got a grant for, so we had to fund, and now we can decrease it, but we'll use it instead towards the fire engine. So that money was available to be transferred over, and that's in the total amount of the $60,802, and that's what funds the difference that we needed for the fire truck that was authorized tonight. Okay, and be it further resolved that the following fiscal year-end 25-26 capital project be restated, and that's the showing from the 950 to the 1,010,802, that 60,802 that we needed. And be it further resolved that the following fiscal year-end 2025-26 capital project with zero fund available balance be closed and removed from the project length schedule. That's the community event sign, which we just deauthorized.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Can I have
Mouthful.
a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
One just quick question, because the resolution that we just passed and this resolution do have some differing numbers in regards to the fire truck?
Differing numbers?
Well,
Why? Where's the differing numbers?
So, just because see.
So 10.
It's, the modified budget here is 1,010,802.
Oh, I think it's the 1 million,
So it's the
hold
1
on, I have
million,
it
should it be
here.
1,202
yes.
from the previous, and it was
Hold on.
68,802, I
Let me just
think.
look at the other, if you don't mind. It should be 1 million, oh, no, the other 10,000, that was for the travel that was needed for
Okay.
the other. That's the other 10,000 that was in there. One of the things they have to go is to go inspect the truck two times. Usually it's 3,
Okay,
but they're going to go 2 times, so we built that into the cost.
okay, and then,
It was like 9,600, I think,
right,
or
the
something.
contingency in the previous resolution was 68,202.
Okay, hold on.
And this is showing, what, 60,802.
802.
I'd have to sit here and go
difference.
through it. Let me look. It's going to take me a minute or two. $950, $933. What should be 1,001,202, including the travel expenses. So that's what that should be. Let me just look here. Minus 950. Give me one sec. And what is the amount in there? 60.
68,202 was in the previous, is what it had said, just the change in contingency, or the additions and contingency of 68,202. And I'm sorry, I'm just kind of.
Yeah, it's just, I'm trying to just look at these
If I had
both
caught this
options.
yesterday when I was reading it.
It's hard to do it as we speak, but let me just see if I can figure it out.
Do we want to go on to something?
Yeah, want to come back to it?
Yeah, sure.
And Greg, if you could just read the resolution. Greg, you could read the next resolution when it comes down to it. Let me just get to this.
All right, while you're doing that, all right, so in the meantime, we're going to move on to resolution number 5, considering awarding contract 25-17, emergency vehicle upfitting.
Whereas the Village of Rybrook has solicited bids for contract 25-17, emergency vehicle upfitting, and whereas the bid for contract 25-17 was advertised in the Journal News as the official newspaper of the Village of Rybrook, November 19, 2025. It was also made available on the Empire State Purchasing Group bid system. And whereas at 10 a.m. Thursday, December 4th, 2025, all bids were open and as summarized below, which we had 2 bids. One is for CMGA Enterprises, LLC, at $3,073.20, and East Coast Emergency Lighting at $3,254. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees have determined that CMJ Enterprises, LLC, of 175th South 11th Street, Lindenhurst, New York, is awarded contract number 25-17 due to their grand total representing the weighted bid submission with the highest percentage discount, off list price, and the lowest hourly rate for installation equipment and removal. And be it further resolved that the mayor and the village administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary appropriate to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Greg. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Motion.
Second.
And I know this is a small amount. This is for lighting on our police vehicles. That's correct?
There has to be a mistake here, because there has to be a third bid for
I
$500.
know, right. You're very confused that they're so close together, aren't you?
Exactly. There has to be a bid that's completely insane.
So what is an emergency vehicle versus a regular police vehicle?
Chief, you want to talk about this real quick? Do you mind coming up?
Is it
Just-
emergency upfitting?
Emergency
If you
vehicle
define that
versus
for
a
me.
police vehicle.
What is
Semantics?
the upfitting doing?
What is it doing if it already has lights
Lights.
and everything?
No, it doesn't have
It doesn't have lights?
So this is for a single vehicle that we've already purchased, and this is
Yes.
upfitting it for lights.
Correct. Lights, radios, camera system, striping, cage, push bar, various other items.
Okay. Wonderful.
So pretty much everything to make it a Rybrook police vehicle.
All right. Any questions or comments? All right.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I can go back to that
Oh,
now.
we can
So
now?
the number, yeah, they're
I was ready to go on
they
with
are
this.
accurate, so no.
Okay.
So it's remember, the vehicle is 1,001,202, of which we had 950 from a band standpoint, right, from a financing standpoint.
Right.
So that leaves a shortage of the 51,202. You take that, and the transfer included the 51,202 plus the 9,600 for the travel, and that's what gets you to the 6802.
6802.
60802
and
for the
then-
project account.
And then it was also the 933 on the purchase, not the 950.
That's
so,
the difference. That
and
makes
so
up the
there's the
balance.
difference, and all those
Correct.
make up the difference.
Yep.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. Sorry to put you on the
No,
spot.
it's all right, we got there.
All right, so going back to our previous resolution, which we already have a motion and a second, now given this, now that the numbers we know line up, is everyone comfortable with this resolution? And are there any questions or comments from this? I would say that yesterday, I was invited and glad to be attending the county executive's weekly briefing, and one of the points that I touched on was how great our finances are in the village of Rybrook, and it is this level of detail and really keeping our books so accurate that make it so that it comes back year after year with no comments from our audits. That there's no real concerns and why our budgets are so tight every year. So Chris is knocking on wood that it stays that way. Well, we know it will because we have Trish and her great staff that really pay attention to all of these details. So we really appreciate all of that. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Resolution number 6, considering approval of the minutes of the village board meeting held on October 28th, 2025.
Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the minutes for the meeting held on October 28th, 2025.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution number 7, we have a few add-on resolutions. Resolution number 7, considering accepting a stock donation for the Anthony J. Pasilpo Senior Center and authorizing the sale of such donated stock and placement of the proceeds into a special purpose trust account.
Whereas Melvin Klugman of 40-B Avon Circle, Unit B, Rybrook, New York, wishes to donate 275 shares of, how do you say it? Is it
NVIDIA.
NVIDIA stock having an approximate value of $50,000 to the Village of Rybrook for the AJP Community Senior Center and programs. And whereas the Village of Rybrook is interested in accepting this donation of stocks with the express understanding that the Village of Rybrook will be placing the stock into its brokerage account in order to receive said donation and promptly liquidate such donated stocks. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees hereby accepts a donation of 275 shares of NVIDIA stock having an approximate value of $50,000 from Melvin Klugman to the Village of Rybrook to be used for the benefit of the AJP Senior Center. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes and approves the prompt sale of such donated stocks once owned by the Village of Rybrook and authorizes the proceeds of such sale to be placed into the special purpose trust account, Senior Center Trust, the funds of which are to be used for the benefit of the AJP Senior Center. And be it further resolved that the Village of Rybrook Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the placement of the stock into its brokerage account with TD Bank for the limited purpose of selling all such donated stock once owned by the Village of Rybrook at a cost not to exceed $500 to be deducted from the proceeds of such sale, and with such amount to continue to remain open only for the purpose of receiving and promptly liquidating any future stock donations for a length of time determined by the Treasurer and Administrator. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the Mayor, Administrator, and Treasurer to take all actions and sign any and all documents necessary to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
First off, I think we would like to thank Mr. Klugman for his very generous donation. We will certainly make sure that this goes to good use at the AJP Senior Center. We all know that this is a facility that really provides a great service to our residents. We look forward to improving those services with this donation. Chris, can you give us a little background of, because I think some people in the public may say, hey, you're getting stock from NVIDIA, why not hold on to it?
Yes.
Because it may go up. So can you explain why we have to sell it immediately?
Yes, absolutely.
And explain a little bit about the process
Sure.
as well, please.
Municipalities are not allowed to hold stock or hold shares, because it's volatile. It could go up, it could go down. That's not something as a public trust we're allowed to do. So what we can do in terms of this, for this purpose, when Mr. Klugman is making this generous donation, which we really appreciate and will serve the senior center really well, what happens is that those funds come in, they get immediately liquidated, and when the value will be whatever the value is that day, and at that time when they're liquidated, those funds get put into a special trust account for the senior center, only for use at that senior center. That special trust account is part of our general fund, which is why the village board accepts it and not the Friends of Rybrook in this particular instance. And then those funds will come into the account, and it gets audited like every other account gets audited in the village of Rybrook.
Thank you, Chris. Questions or comments from the board?
Other than thank you, Mr. Klugman.
Yes, we're glad that you love the senior facility, and I know that Liz is an amazing part of that for you, and we are graciously accepting it, and thank you so much for thinking of us.
Yeah, definitely add my thanks. Thank you very much. I know the senior center is a very worthy cause, and the money will be well used, and thank you, Chris, for explaining the intricacies. I had a number of questions that you answered. Thank you.
With a lot of help from Trish Lippery.
Yeah. And to be clear, this is something that we have done before as the Village of Rybrook. We obviously go by the advice of our financial advisors and our consultants and our legal advisors, that we want to make sure that, obviously with anything like this, we're doing it right. And we stand committed to making sure that the wishes of the person donating the funds are being held into account, that we're making sure that we're doing right by that we want to spend this only in the way that they would see fit. Any other questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Klugman.
All right.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Merlino?
Yes.
And Mayor Klein.
Yes, and thank you again. And, once this is all through, there will be a letter issued, and obviously I'll take that time to thank again. All right, moving on, resolution number 8, another add-on resolution, considering an intermunicipal agreement between the Village of Rybrook and Westchester County for prisoner transport.
Now therefore be resolved that the Village of Rybrook is authorized to enter into a municipal agreement with Westchester County for prisoner transportation for the period of January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2026. Right, Greg? Okay. As follows, and there's, for this current year, 2025, it's $262.50. I believe that's round trip. And for 2026, it goes to $270.48 round trip. And be it further resolved that the mayor and administrator are authorized to execute and deliver all documents necessary or appropriate to accomplish the purposes of this resolution.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a motion and second, please?
Motion.
Second.
And Chris, I'm assuming these rates are determined by the county and the same for
It's not
any-
negotiation.
I was going to say, and the same for any municipality across the board?
I believe so, and I don't know if it's by zone or anything, but
Well,
it's a
done-
fixed
I mean,
cost.
it's a rate by mile, and I think
Yeah.
it's done by wherever there are police, I would assume where the police department is, over to the county correctional facility. I'm getting the thumbs up. from
It's
the
23
chief.
miles, so that's what it says, so it's probably based on a per mile fee.
Yeah.
Mile charge.
This is transport to court and then back
From the, and
from the courthouse, right, so, from
jail.
jail.
County jail.
Jail.
Jail,
correctional facility
court,
to
the courthouse, and then back to jail. So if the court's 4 hours, it's the same rate?
No, well, it's the same rate per mile,
Oh,
but then it's applied by a certain amount of miles.
Yeah,
And then
how
what
many
about the-
miles it is from to the distance.
So
yeah.
it's, so it'll
This
be
is
a
23
different
miles.
total amount, but the same rate.
but if he's there for 4 hours,
Doesn't matter. It's round trip rate.
okay, that's good. That's a deal.
Chief, if you had to put a ballpark, about how many of these do we do a year? Okay, so not a tremendous amount.
Good,
Okay. I
interesting.
know there was a question
Alright.
from the board, so that one, yeah, and it made me curious as well.
Yeah, exactly. I was curious.
Just,
Thank you.
if I can just further clarify, in the agreement itself, there's a chart that breaks it down where all the municipalities, based on the zone, which is where we're located.
Oh, okay, so it's done by zone.
Correct, exactly what the reimbursement rate is for each
Oh,
municipality.
it is. Interesting. It is done by zone, which is interesting. Yeah, so
Oh, yeah,
our
here it is.
zone,
It's
our
back
zone
up.
is, yeah, thank you, Ralph. Mr. DeMarco provided this. Portchester, Mamaroneck Village, Pelham Town, Rybrook, Tuckahoe, and Eastchester are all part of Zone 3, and that's the rate per round trip reimbursement in those communities.
Gotcha.
Horizon is
Let's see,
different
is
zone.
anybody getting a lot? No.
No, it doesn't seem
It's all
that
about the
way, and
same.
it's, you know, it must be, and my guess is that there may be separate, because I'm not seeing any of the northern northern municipalities here. So this is really just, it looks like for the southern municipalities.
Or there's a separate rate sheet.
Yeah, or there's a separate rate sheet, or they're going somewhere else.
Yeah,
potentially. So, all right, any other questions or comments?
No.
Trustee Epstein?
Yes.
Trustee Heiser?
Yes.
Trustee Crom?
Yes.
Trustee Morlino,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein.
Yes, thank you. Administrator's report.
Okay, just a couple of quick items. One is a big thanks to the Recreation Department and Parks and Public Works for their Winterfest, setting up for Winterfest and holding a really nice event. I thought it was a great event. I think we had a solid turnout. Wasn't the biggest, wasn't the smallest. But it was a solid turnout, and I think everyone who came really enjoyed it. And I thought some really nice additions this year, some changes that were done. I thought it did a great job. So it was a cold night. So thank you to everybody who came out and braved the weather and participated in an event that you don't see a lot in this time of year. So it was also a great opportunity to have the tree and menorah lighting, which obviously will be up from now and throughout the holidays. Leaf collection. You see, we go right from Christmas, we're going backwards now into leaf collection. But leaf collection is, we're pretty much done. There's just the stragglers putting stuff out now, or last cleanups. The last day that residents put it out, and the program ends December 15th. And then once people have it out, we'll go around, once we go around again, that's usually it. Okay? So December 15th is the last day for residents to put leaves out. We've also started, we talked about the last board meeting, the Belfair Drain Project, which is a particularly challenging project on a steep hill to repair the storm drain that collapsed in Belfair by High Point Circle. So that project started on Monday, yesterday, and it's definitely a challenging project. You know, the slope is considerable, so the contractor's got his work cut out for him over there. So it'll be disruptive for a little bit of time, but needs to be done, and for a good purpose that needs to get completed. And lastly, just village offices are going to be closed tomorrow afternoon because we have our employee holiday here at Village Hall. So we do close the building. It's only one of 2 days I think we do throughout the year. One is the other summer event that we do for the employees, and tomorrow afternoon. So that's all I have for tonight.
All right, thank you, Chris. And again, I would also reiterate just a big thank you to everyone who was present and working at the Winterfest on Friday night. It was definitely cold. It took a little while for my toes to thaw out. But also thank you to everyone who came out and showed up for the event. It really brings a great spirit to that. We had a lot of nice performances and really the kids running. I mean, the kids were plenty warm because they're all running around like crazy. I mean, it just, yeah.
There's a lot of trips on the train, I think.
Yeah, a lot of trips on the train, and the kids are running around and having a great time, so thank you. Do we have any comments from the public? All right, seeing none, into our discussion item. We do have a discussion item that was on the last agenda. I apologize for not being here. I was sick and under the weather. I'm glad I didn't spread that all to you right before Thanksgiving. And I'm thankful that you allowed for this to continue this to this meeting. So I don't know where we want to start off here.
Why don't I give a quick summary, then
Yeah, please,
turn it
Chris.
over to the board
Yeah, why
for.
don't you give, this is a discussion item on the travel and day camp. As part of last year, when we had approved the fees, we had asked for there to be a summary given to us once it was complete, and so now we have that.
And the village board established a target, I'd say, because you never know what the enrollment and how things will go, but the target was to try to recover about 95% of the programs, and that's something that we wanted to track and see how we were doing, and also to listen to the feedback from the participants and look at some of our costs that we had. And let's see, quick summary. Overall, when you add up day camp and travel camp together, we hit 93%, which was very close. The revenues on the day camp, we were much lower at 84%. Of recovery, and the travel camp we hit 106. So we exceeded our expenses on the travel camp, but we were under on the day camp. But overall, we hit the target. So talk about travel camp first. On travel camp, total revenue we exceeded the expenditures by about $8,114. And on the expenses, we did lower expenses, so we were about $10,000 under budget on the expense side of it. On the camp expenses, on the day camp, we definitely were able to save some money. We had budgeted $60,000 and spent $44,000, but we had a lot more cost on seasonal staff, so we're kind of taking a close look at that, looking at our ratios and seeing could we, how comfortable are we if we lowered some of our ratios and still made sure that it was a safe environment for everyone in terms of seasonal staff. So there may be some opportunities there. In terms of total revenue, it was about $163,000, and the total expenditures were $194,000. So the day camp subsidy in this case was about $31,700 or so. At the last village board meeting, the board asked for some additional information, which we provided, which was a listing of the staff expenses that we had in terms of cost of number of hires. Also asked for camp ratios and what are the actual ratios and could they were wondering what ratios we had to maintain. And also the refunds, what the purpose of the refunds. So we provided a summary of that. The board also asked to see the actual survey responses. So we do, after every program we do in the village, we do a survey to all the participants to see, what did we do well, what did we not do well, what would you like to see changed, and look for ideas. So copies of those survey responses, there's one survey for the day camp and one survey for the travel camp was also provided to the board. So hopefully that provides the information that you were looking for, and now it's really more for board discussion.
All right, thank you, Chris. And I would say that I just want to say thank you because we really this is a crapshoot. That when we're talking about fees in December, January, we don't know what the bus contracts are going to come back as. We don't know what the registration is going to be, and so through experience, through our knowledge of these things, we really have to take our best guess at how we're going to meet what the what the board is looking for. And we had asked you to cover that 95% of our expenses, and it came out to about 93%. So, this is a discussion item. I'm certainly, happy to let's discuss, and if anyone has any specific comments.
And if I could just add the ratios, because we do a mix of activities, it's a 1-to-8 ratio for ages 6 and older, and a 1-to-6 ratio for the groups that have ages under 6.
Right, and that's because of travel.
Because of the travel, because we have water.
And because of the swimming.
And the swimming, yeah.
Right. Okay, any comments from the board?
What can be done about the staffing on the day camp?
Well, the big issue there would be, could we lower, did we hire, so we have to look at the number of groups that we had and to see if the ratios of attendees to how close were we to the ratios. So we weren't too far off, I don't believe, but you may be able to take back, cut back some of the staff. The question is, obviously, we also want to balance that with safety, right? So that's an opportunity where we could cut costs, but obviously you'd have less people available to supervise, but still making sure that in any case, we're always going to be able to meet the requirements and then some on safety.
Yeah, and these are health department requirements. And I would also say that, we, like any other municipality, like anywhere else in New York State, and in Westchester County, this has been fluctuating also because the minimum wage has been going up, and so we've had to raise our counselor rates as well to meet that.
Some of the things that I'd say the board would be valuable to discuss is when you look at the expenses, you see we did cut back on expenses because the big expense, obviously, as we've talked about forever, is the buses, right? Particularly the coach buses. Now, the question there is, and maybe this is something you want to get feedback from the rec council or just the village board, but some of the things you saw in the surveys, I'd say two of the issues I saw surface, one was, should sixth graders be allowed to do the travel? And are we comfortable with that? They're going into sixth grade, just be aware, so it's between fifth and sixth at that point in the summer. Is that something that, should they have the option? Should they be required to go into travel? Because some people said sixth graders don't always like the day camp or they feel a little old for it. And that's one question. And the other question I'd say is, some people, you have to balance out the expenses. So could we do people love the longer trip, the bigger trips to the bigger places, but it does require more travel, which will increase expenses. So balancing out the need for the cost of the buses, the longer days, but maybe for a nicer place, would people be more willing to pay for that, or do you want to not do that and keep it affordable, make sure it's affordable for everyone? So that's the balance and the policy discussions for the board.
So I think we have to attack it, if I can jump in for a minute, two different ways. One is a travel camp discussion, and one is a day camp discussion. And of course, there's always the one where, at what age do you allow it? So I read through all of these summaries, so that's why I think that you have to divide it, because obviously it's different comments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd say overall, the feedback was very positive, on the camp experience this year. It was, we had some negative comments the year before, and I think we turned a lot of that around. I think really tried hard to do a lot of communication with the parents and the participants, and I know that was a big effort in the rec department, so I do want to give them a lot of credit for that outreach. But meeting, we want to meet the needs of the community, or as much of the community as we can, so that kind of feedback is very important to get. Sixth graders travel, day camp, or options are one question, and locations to travel and costs would be another good discussion.
Right, and certainly that having read obviously we're not getting survey responses from all the participants, but the ones that we get, were overwhelmingly positive. And I think it was fairly clear that I don't think we need to offer after camp care. I think that was a 73% or so no.
Yeah.
And then my favorite though was the question asking, will you attend the camp again next year? And all the no responses were aging out.
Yeah, or going to travel next year.
Going to travel next year. My personal feeling, I think, on the age of, and again, this has been an ongoing camp in the village of Rybrook for a very long time. My personal feeling on the day camp versus travel camp, and obviously we don't want to throw the numbers off too much because we may not want to lose some from the day camp over to the travel camp, but, we're in a community that's a middle school, high school, that's 6 through. And so, part of my feeling is, why not separate the ages the way that the school would, elementary school versus middle school? But again, that may be something for discussion among either the rec committee or among staff as well within the rec department. I don't know.
Or maybe a survey too, or a
Oh,
survey out.
yeah.
Right, my suggestion to Judy Klein, who is the head of the rec committee, was to have perhaps a subcommittee speak with parents of that age child and develop that further before we make that decision. Which I think is, it's not a decision we should be making, because we don't have, you're the only one that has a child that age. But I think that we need to vet it with that age parent.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because obviously, many of them want it, so why wouldn't we pursue it? And I think that it's a very good point that if our school is divided that way, why wouldn't we perhaps think about it? But the other issue is they are going on trips, and I know that there is a whole backlash of these kids having phones, and phones are really important when they go on these trips. So I think that's something that we have to vet further before we make that decision. That's
Right, it's true.
that's
I
my
mean-
perspective on that one.
Right.
But the other thing is, they all want bigger trips, longer trips. They're very disappointed when they get to a venue and they don't get to stay there. It seems like it's a ordeal to get there, 2 hours, an hour and a half, whatever. They're there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, then they have to leave. So why wouldn't we think about expanding it where they could actually get the most of going to that trip? But then we also have to factor in, well, that's going to increase the cost to us for the staff. So if we do that, we have to think about that early. So these are all pieces of the puzzle that I think that we have to discuss. And we're not going to decide this tonight, but I think that having parents tell us what they think their kids want, please feel free. Who should they write to?
That's right. If they always shut it to me or Greg, and we'll filter it to the right place.
Okay, so I think that we should put that out there on our pages and say, the board is considering this. We would really love your input. And if you want to sit on a subcommittee, that would be great. But your providing us with this information would be important to us making our decisions on costs going forward also.
Yeah, and to Trustee Epstein's point, it's kind of a double-edged sword that it's I think last year we'd actually asked for minimizing the trips a little bit because of the length
Because
of
of
the
the
bus
cost of the-
rides and the
yeah.
cost. And then we're seeing, well, maybe they do want some of those farther trips, but if we can stay longer, but again, that's a higher cost in the busing and in the staff time, so it's.
I think
so it
there's
is kind of
definitely a
that-
formation of a survey again out and push to try to get responses, but really kind of push, please respond to this, please,
Right,
maybe
yeah.
we need to develop those questions,
And I
and
was gonna
whatever those
say,
questions
yeah,
are,
more
reach out, because we do have a captured audience of attendees, right? We know people
Right.
that go.
Right, that's actually a very good point. So not only focusing on people in our community, but primarily focusing on those that attend.
Right, and very specific, very specific
Right.
questions.
So we have
more
those
specific
lit.
questions.
We have
Not
that
just a,
list.
was this a good experience or a bad experience, but, getting more specific
That was a follow-up.
getting into details.
Right, the granular responses that we need
Yeah.
in order
Yeah.
to make that decision.
Because, I think it's going to always be an adjustment, that are we ever going to get it absolutely perfect? Probably not. But
Listen, we
No,
always
but
how do
want
we find that right balance?
to make improvements every year.
Right, and then that comes down to, it's always the saying of, and I like that we're having this discussion because, someone said this to me a long time ago, but if it ain't broke, you're not looking hard enough. You just gotta, there's always room for improvement, and I think that's what we want to do in order to make this the best possible experience for the residents that are taking advantage of
Right,
this program.
and I think that really targeting the people, I want to say 16 or 20% our respondent rate is really not enough to make a decision. So those of you that attended camp, please please
Keep an eye
provide
out.
And we can even,
Keep an
you
eye
know,
out for
we
it.
can even be specific in some of the questions of saying, you know, we're considering extended lengths of trips for camps, you know.
For certain
How do you
trips,
feel about, how do
exactly.
you feel about this? Would you feel it would justify a little bit of a higher
Mm-hmm.
cost? You know, there's
Right.
there's specific questions we can ask.
Yep.
And we may need some time to develop what those questions should be.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. Sounds great.
Is there a cap on how long the trip is supposed to take? In other words, if you add the travel both ways plus the time at the event, is there a cap where that's supposed to total out?
Sometimes they come back late, like 5 o'clock. They'll come back as late as
The
5.
only thing I could really
I think
think
was-
of is
is
if there are limits on
The
the times
ages,
that the
or
counselors.
the
could
ages of
be-
the counselors, that's the only thing I have to
The
check.
ages of the counselors and
Yeah,
how long they can be working,
yeah.
or, that's the only
That's
thing.
my
I could
only
really
question too, would
think
be
of.
if
We don't want to
there's,
exceed the 40-hour week.
that's the only question is,
If these
if
trips are
the,
only supposed to say, take hypothetically 8 hours, the more you allocate to being at the event, the shorter the travel time has to be, which means you can't go
and remember, they don't move,
different
Yeah.
places.
they also don't move quickly. They gotta unload a bus, they
Right.
gotta get people in,
Gather everyone.
Count.
get people in, count
Get
them,
them
yeah.
back.
Count.
And
count
it's not like they
again.
just
Takes
breeze
a long
into the
time.
park either, they gotta
So
go in.
to summarize, some
Yeah,
of the
how does that sound?
respondents basically said that it took them 2 hours to get there, they were at the park 2 hours, and then they had to come home.
Yeah.
So that seems like a lot of travel time for a 2-hour experience.
Right.
And we do extended days for some of the trips too.
Yes, you did,
Yeah.
but it's still,
So it can be a challenge, yeah.
right.
But they wanted to go to the really nice places.
Right, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
fine, and they're basically saying that they would love that, and then they can show up for a half a day the next day, but
That's tough, but yeah.
but I don't know how you schedule that, so therefore, what do you do?
It's tough to schedule, and also then you also have the working parents where it's you really they're relying on that full
If I
day every
use-
day. But
If I use your example of 2 hours travel, 2 hours at the event, 2 hours
That's only
of
6
traffic.
hours.
So that's 6 hours. If you want to knock down the amount of travel, the only way you can do that so they can spend more time within the 6 hours at the event
Let's go to
is
closer
to have
places.
things closer by.
yeah, with
That is
some
true,
of
but there's
that stuff.
also, sometimes you can't always, I mean, it's like, say you go to Great Flags, or is that what it's called?
Six Flags.
Flags.
Thank you. It's been a long time for me.
Six great flags.
I'm showing my age.
It's 6 great flags.
But they are closed.
even around, they're closed.
So that,
Nobody said Action Park.
Yeah, we're not going to.
so sometimes,
went as a kid.
sometimes by the time, okay, so they get to camp at night, they line up, then they get on the bus, so before they even leave, it's 45 minutes to an hour.
As I say, that's why I asked whether there was a cap on how long
Oh.
the
Yeah.
day
Well,
goes.
yeah, I think the venues are really important, and we have great staff that, you know, they know where the kids want to go, and that's, you know, you have to spend the time going there sometimes.
Yeah, and I would also say thank you to Robert Bertolacci and our staff within the rec
Who's
department
that?
for putting a lot of this together and really getting to know, you know, where the trips are, knowing what's popular each year, and determining this. It's really useful, and obviously it's, you know, it's at least good enough that we're getting a good response
Listen,
and good
our-
signups year to
We
year.
were
so-
concerned when the rates went up that it may impact attendance, and actually both programs increased slightly.
Right, I
But yeah.
wanted to point that
Yeah.
out, that was not a factor. You were all
No.
very concerned, and it was not a factor.
Right.
That's good. That's
So-
good.
That's good, and I think trying to meet these targets again next year, I think is a really good starting point. And, you know, trying to meet that 95%, and 90 to 95%, we were at 93. I think that's, you know, what we should be aiming for. So,
Right. So, right, but the other, if you, I'm just bringing this up, if you attend better places, the cost for those places is increased, so it has to be, we have to.
Right,
think
if you're
about that.
increasing the cost, you want to make sure that the product,
Exactly.
that the product is improving as well.
Exactly.
Right, absolutely understood. So I guess, Chris, the question is, where do we go from here? What are the next steps?
Well, I think we're looking for
Who's going to
feedback
develop the,
I think staff and the rec department, rec council should give some feedback, and I think, why don't we draft something up that'll give the board some direction on what we recommend, but then it's going to be some combination of rec council feedback or focus groups, whatever they end up doing, plus some kind of surveying out. I think
Okay.
that's what we're looking at.
All right,
We
'cause
have
that's
to accomplish this by when now?
Well, again, we're going to be looking, when does that brochure go out? Probably
Right.
beginning of February, so we're looking
So-
to get this done in the next month and a half
Yeah,
or
right,
so.
okay,
Yeah,
so that's
you have a
important.
short month because of
I
December.
know, so it's shortened.
So
It's
we did
doable,
push
though.
it back last year, and it did not impact
Right.
attendance. So
Nope.
while I
Let's-
do not want to take my time on this like we did last
So let's
year,
try to get it done.
let's try to get it done, but obviously, December, I
Or-
don't know if you're
or-
going to have people attending.
No, I know,
these.
no, we
Also,
won't.
Our
We'll-
questions are much more targeted this time.
Yeah, we know what we want, we know what we
Yeah.
want, that's right.
Okay. Do we, all right, so do we need to make any recommendation here, or we just, we
Feedback,
have-
we're going to talk to rec department tomorrow and make sure it gets on their agenda, and we'll start formulating a plan.
All right, wonderful.
And Chris has our notes.
All right. All right, any other questions or comments on this?
No.
All right, thank you. The next, I would also say I wish everyone a very happy and healthy holiday season coming up. This is our last board meeting of 2025. We will reconvene in the new year. Thank you in advance to our highway crews. Should we get any snow between now and then?
Next Sunday.
And, we thank them for everything that they're going to be doing in that event. The next meetings of the Board of Trustees will be January 13th and 27th of 2026. And thank you and have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.